Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options in Play video update. So, finally, at long last, we are back into earnings season, and the banks will get us started next week. Before the open on Monday, and actually after the close on Monday, there's nothing scheduled, so we're going to have to wait until Tuesday morning to actually get anything. But on Tuesday morning, things kind of really pick up quickly. So, J.P. Morgan and Citi. So the first two major banks to report both on Tuesday morning. J.P. Morgan pricing in about 425. Citi pricing in about 225. You can see Citi obviously a lot worse chart. So my take, and I guess the past few months, and I guess my lack of interest with the banks over the last few months is going to maybe shape my opinion and my trades for next week, or lack of trades. And I'd say that of the banks, J.P. Morgan and Goldman, which will report the following morning, probably the best two looking charts out there, minus maybe Morgan Stanley, but that's got different things at play. So if I do anything with the banks, I would probably be focused on those two, but I really am not sure that I'm going to do anything with them, just any of them in general. Just it's been such tough trading, and last quarter they really weren't major events for some of them. Some of the stocks just really did not react all that well to earnings. So it's like the lack of clean action, the lack of good patterns, the option wise, they don't seem that cheap. The pricing. Honestly, like I really might be avoiding all of them until the range is resolved. So JP, Citi, Bank of America, Goldman, all of them. Maybe Morgan Stanley, but that's got different things going on. Like I said. Um, J&J also Tuesday before the open. So about 4 points is what's priced in here. Consistent history
That's radio.
beating,
That's
and
radio. Red dog is back.
it is coming off beat and race quarter. All right, so nice move higher ahead of time, and that's kind of what I was thinking is that J&J was in a good position to make a run ahead of earnings, just because good pattern, good recent results. I guess whether or not I carry options into earnings will depend kind of on where the stock is going into earnings. So if it's up again Monday, I think maybe then it's more into the realm of possibly being priced in. So whether or not I have options will probably be determined about how much more it's up on Monday. And then Delta, so another big name Tuesday before the open. About 2.5 points is what's priced in here. And similar to banks, man, I really don't know what to make of the airlines. Trading these has been so tough the past couple months, and I think at this point the status of the stimulus seems to be the most important. So I don't know if earnings and revenues are going to move the needle much on these stocks versus any major development on the stimulus talks. So um, I honestly might just wait and see how things go before jumping in. Because I've traded this, I've traded AAL, I've traded UAL options, I've traded them a bunch of times, and they just really do not want to move. So I think overall, like I would maybe just prefer to wait and see if it kind of resolves the range. So if it can really start to make like a move, then maybe jump in. But overall, like I think I'm less inclined to put on risk for earnings here. Tuesday after the close, nothing scheduled. Wednesday before the open. So, like I was saying, Bank of America, about $1.10 is what's priced in. Goldman Sachs is pricing in about 9.25. As you can see, it looks a little bit better. And then Wells Fargo, which is the worst looking chart, is pricing in about $1.25. So, like Goldman looks the best, Wells the worst, but I think it might actually have the most potential from a trade perspective, just based off of the pattern, long consolidation. Also, the fact that $1.25, it seems like if it resolves this consolidation, whether it's up or down, it could have like a 2+ point move. So it might not be immediate, and that's why I guess I don't know if there's a specifically an options trade for earnings, but it could be one where if you look out maybe like a week or two, um, and you're able to get risk into like a decent level, maybe it's worth taking a shot just to see if it does end up resolving this 2 3 month consolidation. All right, UNH, another big name, Wednesday before the open. So about 12 and a half points is what's expected. It's right at its 52-week high, has really just consistently delivered beat and raised quarters over the last couple of years. Last quarter, though, definitely a more muted reaction than what it typically would do. Because for a while, I mean, in addition to being good, consistent numbers, it was consistent mover too. So last quarter is definitely more muted. But I mean, I do think the chart set up pretty well. It looks bullish. The last quarters was decent. The quarter for that was strong. So I feel like it might be a decent bullish, maybe something speculative. Or I could even maybe look at like a Cigna or an Anthem as a potential sympathy play because both of those have weekly options. All right, after the close on Wednesday, UAL, they're pricing in about 3.5. I mean, it's same idea as Delta. I'm really going to see how the earnings goes and see where the stock is. Uh, I I'm more cautious laying out the money because I have been in and out of these things multiple times over the last couple months, and I know how tough of the trading is on it. So I'm just really cautious laying out, like especially for UAL, like 3.5 points seems pretty high. All right, for the open on Thursday, more banks. So Morgan Stanley, about 225, 230, kind of in that ballpark is what they're looking for. They just wrapped up the E-Trade deal, and then now they announced another big deal for Eaton Vance. So the stock to me is, I guess it's a leader in this group. But after the headline this week, I don't know how much the stock is going to move on earnings because it seems like other things at play. So if I were to do anything, it would probably be more of like a swing focused trade and less of an earnings focused trade. Because if it gets back to 50, there might be some like nice potential for like a long extended move higher. Walgreens, so big retail report. About 2.5 points is what's priced in here. Uh, Overall, this Rite Aid, CVS really have not been in play. I mean, just kind of weaker price action for a few months now. And I think Walgreens is going to have a real solid quarter to get this turned around. I'm on the fence with this stock. There have been quarters when it's had some big moves and rewarded option players, but also other quarters when it hasn't done a whole lot. So it's a little bit less consistent. I don't think option pricing is too bad, but the setup also isn't great in general. So it's more of like a game time decision. Afria. So about $1 is what's expected here. Cannabis stocks, you can see based off the chart here, have just recently come to life. And that's not necessarily an indication that earnings are going to be good. It's just an indication that people are more focused there, right? Last quarter wasn't very good for Afria, but if they can put together a good quarter with you got some interest in the sector ahead of the election, got some good price action, maybe it can be a big confidence boost for like the entire group. So I'm actually probably going to look at names outside of Afria just because from like a implied volatility perspective, the options should be cheaper. After the close on Thursday, ISRG. So point-wise, this might be the biggest move of the week. At least it's expected to. They're looking for about 36 points on this. Strong quarter in July, big breakout. Stock has acted great. Average move on earnings has been a little bit smaller though than it once was. Last quarter was a bigger one, but overall it has been a little bit smaller. A stock that's performed well, that's kind of rallying into earnings, that hasn't had huge moves. Seems like it might be a recipe for a little bit of like a sell the news reaction, but um, it does have a solid look, and last quarter was very good. So maybe if it pulls back ahead of time, maybe this would be something that I look at as like a speculative like bull idea. Friday before the open, Schlumberger. So about $1 or so is what's priced in on this. First energy name to report. So that usually is of higher interest to me. I like when like the first major company reports in each sector. The issue more so with Schlumberger and just energy in general is that they're off the lows, but the charts really don't look very good. And I haven't, for the most part, had a whole lot of interest in this sector. Although we did just have a pretty good trade on Schlumberger in September, but kind of hard to be super bullish, but valuation kind of so low where it's kind of also hard to be super bearish. So caught between a rock and a hard place. I mean, the pricing isn't bad on the option side, but I don't have a whole lot of conviction with it. So I think it's one of those names where if you have a real strong opinion one way or the other, it might be worth a shot. But for me, where I don't have a whole lot of conviction, I might just end up leaving it alone. And then lastly, VFC. So has really been coming off the low pretty nicely. Retail has, for the most part, been kind of like feast or famine almost. It's like the names that are doing well are doing very, very well, and the names that are doing bad are doing very, very bad. VFC kind of in the middle, so a little bit more unusual because you don't see too many patterns where stocks that are coming off the lows, but they were beating up names that really underperformed, but are now starting to turn the corner. That type of pattern is a little bit more unusual. VFC's pricing in 4.5 points, and I think in terms of patterns next week, this might be one of the best ones set up for a volatility strategy. So, especially because there have been quarters in the past where there's been some real big moves on this, and I think if I can get the risk down, this might be one that sets up well for straddle or strangle. All right, that's it. So things start to pick up, and actually, I would be expecting more unscheduled guidance next week too. A lot of preliminary guides because we saw that this week, and as we get further into the quarter, I'd expect more of that. So we got stuff on the calendar. I'd expect more things outside of what's on the calendar, and I just think it's going to be a busy week. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on earnings trading with options or more information on option swing trading, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options in play. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and lots to look forward to next week. So I will talk to you then.